Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Talking Crap podcast. It is AEW week. Our focus for the main portion of this is going to be based on the promotion AEW. I am Lucas Jackson, the life coach. I am joined, as always, by Jazzy Josh Porter.
Hello! It's good to be here as usual.
Indeed.
It's strange. My garden is very quiet for once. Normally it's a lot louder with all the neighbours. I think they got bored of their barbecues.
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of bank holiday barbecues, and I think a lot of people have gone back to work, perhaps.
Yeah, my dad goes back to work next week.
Yeah, a lot of people going back to work in life, obviously getting back to normal, somewhat. How's the shed anyway, Josh? How's the shed?
Intact. I still need to do the little vlog that I said I'd do, didn't I?
You do.
The virtual tour.
We need some information. I mean, obviously, we are a few weeks in, so let's hope we're going to get it very soon. I'm going to chase up on that. Obviously, in the UK, we're still in the middle of somewhat of a lockdown. But we are obviously moving forward, and there's stuff that's opening up, shops are opening up and stuff. So, you know, the future is somewhat positive, I guess. Sadly, you know, we must start, like, before we go into the usual wrestling news section, obviously something that's come up in the past kind of week or so, the death of George Floyd in America. And, you know, the video footage that surfaced around, like, it's very hard to watch. I don't know, have you seen it, Josh?
Yeah, I have. I've seen it all over social media and other places like that. Not much on the news in the UK. Obviously, it's not really a UK story, but normally they do. But a lot of controversy has come up with it because obviously there are now riots in... Is it Mississippi?
It's Minnesota, the state.
Minnesota. They both start with MIS.
Yeah.
MI.
I mean, yeah, it's an absolutely horrific thing to happen. I mean, I don't really want to glorify, like, the actions of what happened, but just obviously the end result, you know, sadly, someone lost their life. And I think, obviously, you know, President Trump has said that he's going to make sure, you know, it's the full and final kind of the hardest working team on the case. And I hope that is the case, because I think, you know, for someone to get murdered, basically, you know, in broad daylight, and to have their last moments on this planet, you know, the way that it was done, I think that's just disgusting, personally. And, you know,
I think it's one of those things that just, it shouldn't happen ever. Even if it's an accident, air quotes, it's not really an accident that can happen lightly. No.
And it needs to be, I mean, yeah, then the people that have done this need to be charged, you know, with criminal charges.
And, I know they've been fired.
Yeah.
And there's apparently an investigation going on, but that's something I've read. Whether it's accurate or not, I don't know, so don't quote me on that.
Well, look, like I said, I'm just hoping that, you know, this gets investigating, it's looked at, and it's fucking disgusting. And I'm hoping that no one has to go through this ever again. Our thoughts are with George Floyd's family, friends, and obviously America. Sort yourselves out. You're fucking mad. But anyway, we go into the wrestling news, and it's still a very quiet time. It was at the moment still only two major promotions running. You know, we are focusing lately later on AEW, some WWE news. So, like, next week on Raw, you know, Rey Mysterio is having his retirement ceremony. I know this is a podcast and you can't see my eyes rolling, but they are on the floor because it's just beyond now.
It's really silly.
Why can no performer over the age of bloody 30 not be on the verge of retirement in wrestling nowadays? It's just ridiculous. And I mean, I'm leaning towards it being a work. I don't see a reason why he's going to retire. He's still able to go physically, unless there's something we don't know. You know, what are your thoughts, Josh?
I think it's a work, because Rey Mysterio still can give out a 5-star match. Like,
absolutely.
You've got people wrestling at his age all over the world and still travelling every week, including Rey Mysterio. So it's not like his work has declined. He's still hitting a lot of high-risk moves. Like, Ricochet has stopped some of his high-risk moves to lengthen his career a little, but Rey Mysterio hasn't done that much different to what he normally does. He's adapted with the times as well, though.
He's a phenomenal athlete. I think the only other way I can see it is that he's going to leave WWE, and perhaps that's the send-off they're going to give him.
Maybe.
But I think, especially in this climate, why would they do that? They didn't do it to the Revival. They didn't do it to anyone they released. They didn't do it to anyone else. I've got it as a work, and it's interesting, I guess, and maybe it will further suffer Seth Rollins and stuff. Next, greatest wrestling match ever. We've got to talk about this. A lot of people been messaging me about it. And
do we have to talk about it?
we kind of have to, because it's such a big thing. And we're obviously going to give, obviously when we do get into our closer to Backlash, which in a couple of weeks' time, we give prediction and stuff. We give obviously a more fuller review. But just based on this tagline, where are we sitting with it? Like it surely for me, it is just like a hyperbole. It's kind of like a way to hype the match, and they can't surely believe that Edge and Randy Orton, of all people, are going to have this amazing match. It's obviously some sort of rib.
10 years ago, maybe, I reckon they could have. Not now, though.
No, not with... Orton doesn't give a fuck, does he?
He doesn't need to, though, does he?
He doesn't give a shit. And Edge, bless him, like, obviously, he's a seasoned competitor, and I think while he's got a lot to offer, and I'm hoping, obviously, after his feud with Randy is over, he goes on to face people like AJ Styles and stuff. I just don't see them having this greatest wrestling match. That Meltzer's going to fucking...
I reckon it's a work.
Cream himself over.
I reckon it's a work. I don't see it actually being a match.
Controversial.
Yes, I will leave the rest for the Backlash predictions, but
fair enough, yeah.
I definitely think there's something fishy going on. It's not actually going to be the greatest wrestling match ever. I reckon it's not even going to be a wrestling match at all.
Well, we'll see obviously as it develops. And last on the main news is so Brian Cage, he was revealed as the mystery person in the Casino ladder match at 8-1, and so he will earn a future shot against Jon Moxley. I don't know if they've announced when that's happening yet. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Brian Cage? I feel it was an odd choice. I think obviously there was a lot of names thrown around, obviously on our predictions show, and also just around in general. It seemed that a lot of people were favouring, more of the ex-WWE guys, and I guess personally, I'm kind of happy that it's not one of those, one of those. But what are your thoughts, Cage to AEW?
I think it's a slap in the face to everyone else in that match, honestly. Yeah, he was signed from January, supposedly signed from January, but there are a lot of people in that match who deserved it a lot more. Darby Allin, for one.
Yeah, I do question why Darby Allin was omitted.
What are they doing with him now?
When he's going to get his kind of chance to shine, I guess. He's a great talent, and
he's
everyone really likes him.
He's a 5-star athlete, I think, at least. And
I agree too.
Yeah, he's had so many great matches, including, and this is one of my favourite AEW matches, against Jon Moxley.
Yeah, when he took the... what's Moxley finisher called now? Not the Dirty Deeds.
Paradigm Shift.
It's a Paradigm Shift. Sorry, I'm still in WWE mode at times. He took the Paradigm Shift off the second rope, didn't he? He's a fantastic guy. He's got a good future, and I guess maybe that's what they think. They think he's got a good future. He's not made for now, but I think... I think Cage is another one. He's had a lot. He's just a meathead, really. He's good, I guess. I need some bigger guys, but I'm not too sure if he's the right direction.
Where did Taz come from in this? Suddenly bringing out Brian Cage.
Taz has been doing some commentary and stuff for them, hasn't he? In the kind of analyst role. He's basically doing what MVP's doing on Raw. It seems.
Pretty much, yeah.
It seems that's what it seems to be a new role. Last but not least, young wrestler Hannah Kimura lost her life tragically in this past week, and it was due to a lot of online bullying. And again, our thoughts with Josh Floyd for earlier, what he went through, and our thoughts definitely with Hannah Kimura's family and the wrestling community as a whole. And just a reminder, people, like online bullying or bullying of any kind, discrimination, like it's not cool, and it all just needs to end. And our thoughts obviously are with the family and everything for that. I don't think anything is worse than young athlete losing her life because of some online bullies.
Especially if she took it upon herself to do so as well. And
Yes.
allow me just to recite one of my favourite quotes that I used to do MMA, as you're aware, and in one of the gyms that I trained at, my coach there had a plaque on the wall, and it was one of my favourite things that I've ever seen because it was hilarious but so true at the same time, and that is, don't be a dick.
Yeah.
And that works with any situation whatsoever. Don't be a dick.
It's true. It's true. Our thoughts, obviously, with the family. And last but not least, so the quick five fuckometer, Josh. So, we've got some NXT TakeOver matches. Like I said, we are going to go into full in-depth review of these in a couple of weeks when we got the chance. But I'll give you the match. Score 10. 1 being you're not excited at all. 10 being you're over the fucking moon. So here we go. Matches announced for NXT TakeOver. Charlotte Flair will defend the women's title against Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley in a triple threat match.
Hold on, start that again. A firework just went off. Scared the crap out of me.
Cool. So edit that bit out after the Hana Kimura then.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Cut that. Right, 3.
Go
2...
back to the thingy.
I'm sorry?
Fuckometer thing.
Okay, cool. So I'll start with that. 3, 2, 1. So, new feature, it's called the Quick Fire Fuckometer. So, in this, I'm going to give you the NXT TakeOver matches. We are going to have, obviously, a full, in-depth review of NXT TakeOver, the predictions and stuff for next week. But, putting a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being that you couldn't care less, and 10 being you're over the fucking moon. So, give me a score out of 10. First match, women's title. Charlotte Flair will defend against both Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley in a triple threat match.
3 only because Charlotte Flair is in it.
Fair enough. Adam Cole will defend the NXT Championship against Velveteen Dream. It's a last chance contest. For comment to score, please.
9 because they're both exceptional talents.
Couldn't agree more. Keith Lee against Johnny Gargano, North American Championship.
7 because I like them both, but I don't like Gargano's gimmick.
Fair enough. And finally, Finn Balor versus Damian Priest.
10 because it'll be good.
You're very excited for that. But yeah, that concludes the news this week. Right, so that was the news. Before we get too interesting our guests for this week's episode, I understand, Josh, you've got a little fun little story, so over to you. Let's share.
This hurts me a little bit inside.
Oh.
Because, as you know, I'm an avid gin and rum drinker. I know a fair amount about those types of alcohols.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got this one glass. It's one of my favourite glasses that a very good friend of mine gave me. And I use it only for gin and rum. But the last few times I've used it, I've had to pour entire drinks away because of this. Which isn't the end of the world, but it's irritating nonetheless. But it's tasted really soapy the last few times. I thought maybe it's just the dishwasher was not rinsing properly.
Yeah.
But every other glass that went through there, or every other plate or cup that went through there was completely fine. So I thought maybe it's the shape of it is why it's not rinsing properly. It's taken me nearly a month to realise this. But my dad has been putting that... Because we take it in turns to empty the dishwasher, but every time that my glass is in there, it seems that someone else does it. Every time he has placed this glass on the mantelpiece type table that we have in the conservatory in front of the air freshener. So every time the air freshener goes off, it goes directly over the top and into my glass. And it's taken me a month to realise this.
Oh, Josh.
It was
Parents,
painful.
eh?
Yeah.
Parents,
Shame I
eh?
can't afford to move out.
Right, well, look, let's get cracking, though, because we've got a lot to discuss. We are talking about AEW, All Elite Wrestling, and we are talking about them 1 year on from their debut pay-per-view event. Joining Josh and I today, we will have Champagne Charlie.
Hello there, it's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Okay, well, we're going to get right to it. It's time for a riddle. Before we get into AEW, this goes up to both of you. Let's see if you can get this one. I'm a big riddle fan. So,
okay, here we go.
I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with wind. What am I?
Oh. Speak without a body. Oh. Come
Hear without
alive.
ears. I have no body, but I come alive with wind. What am I?
Is it a wind chime?
Nope.
Is it?
That was my only idea.
Is it a cloud?
No. It's not a cloud.
Ah.
We will leave this with you. Have a think about it as we continue our discussion. I'll reveal the answer a bit later on.
Okay.
Right, let's get into AEW. So AEW, 1 year on. I think we're going to start positively. So let's deal firstly with what worked well. And we'll go around the table, so to speak. And so we'll start with you, Champagne Charlie. What do you think's worked well for AEW over the past 12 months?
Oh, what has worked well is the amount of talent that they've discovered worldwide. They have checked every corner of the globe to bring fresh new talent. And a lot of them have been working on the indies for a long, long time. But obviously, not everyone gets to see what goes on in the indies. So this has introduced them to a fresh audience and making them superstars. I mean, people like MJF, people like Jungle Boy, Kip Sabian. The list is endless. And that is what they're doing. They're really making new stars, the likes of which we've never seen before. And the tag team division is unbelievable. When it comes to also having established stars to help get those new people over, they've really picked the best people for the job.
I understand. I mean, back to your point about the tag division, I think they definitely are at the point where they've got the best tag division on the planet. I think WWE had it for a long time, but with the recent releases of the Revival, the OC,
yes,
I think obviously even Zack Ryder and Hawkins, very experienced tag team. I think sadly WWE, may fall into second place. And the tag division at AEW is working so well. It's a big part of the product. What about you, Josh? What do you think? What's worked well for AEW?
Once again, I think their tag division has worked wonders for them.
3 big ticks there, I think.
Yeah. I think the main reason their tag division has worked so well is because obviously they've got one of arguably the best tag teams in the world, that being the Young Bucks.
Mm.
And these guys have gone up against so many other amazing tag teams in the world that they've just kind of gone, yeah, let's recruit all of them.
I think it's definitely a selling point for their brand, I think, the tag division. And they're trying to get that, really important. And they said that in their first press conference, didn't they? That tag team wrestling will be a big part of the brand, and they haven't lied in that respect.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, but as mentioned, they've brought in all these experienced guys that have been in the business for years in some of the biggest companies in the world who recognise... Because these guys aren't just people that have run promotions before. These are people that have worked in the business from the bottom up. Maybe not the likes of Cody Rhodes, because obviously he had his dad in the business, so he went straight in. I wouldn't say a higher level, but he had doors opened easier for him a little bit.
Absolutely.
But you've got all these people in AEW that, as I mentioned, have worked from the bottom up. And they understand the wrestling business from both perspectives, not just as a businessman, not just as someone that runs a company, but as someone that's worked for it and has competed as a wrestler. So they've got the experience from both sides.
Yeah, I mean, a point that I put down, obviously we discussed tag division, fantastic, I think. I think the presentation, the commentary, is just really, really good, and it's something which WWE can learn a lot from. I think, obviously, they've only got the one show at the moment, and obviously pay-per-views every now and again, but they're not. It didn't feel as forced. They're able to tell stories, and as much as I don't really like Excalibur on commentary, I think obviously having JR and Tony Schiavone together is like a dream come true, and the commentary is really good and helps tell the stories, sell the stories, and not selling whatever's coming up next, like WWE are. They're always selling the next pay-per-view, the next toy, the next, God knows what, next network special to you. I put that down as a big plus. And I think, like you said, I think Jericho has just been on such a career renaissance. At this point, do we even call it Renaissance? Because everything he does, we always go, this is the best thing ever, you know. And then he does even better. Like, you know, he did the whole silent thing. Then he had the list. Then he had the Festival of Friendship. Then he's coming up with a new finisher. Now he's got, you know, a little bit of the bubbly. Like, everything this man touches, it just literally just turns into gold. And I think, you know, the Elite, they're a very strong part of the brand. Obviously, they're in kind of every kind of valuable storyline, really, with the tag division, obviously. And there's been a lot there, and they managed to salvage some stuff too, like Dark Order. It was fucking creepy at first. It was really weird and just really didn't get over. But they managed to fix it especially over the last few months. Obviously, the addition of Brody Lee, and that'll be kind of one of my things. I mean, anything else, guys, that you think's worked well before we move on?
I agree with you about the whole the announced team. I mean, having Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone there is a dream team. I'm going to disagree with you about what you said about Excalibur. I actually quite like Excalibur's style because it adds a freshness to it. I mean, they're trying to do something different. I mean, Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone, legends, but they're the voices of the old school, okay? This is a new company trying to do something different that no one's ever done before. And having Excalibur there, with the way he announces this and also the way he looks, you know, with the mask and stuff, it's fresh, it's original, and that's what I like about him. So,
I guess they're going for that kind of merge, aren't they, between new meets old kind of thing, and I get that. But I'm introducing this with commentary, and I'll refer to two people. That's my take.
I'm so glad that they demoted Marquez, you know, because that guy did not get over as a lead announcer at all. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, but it's just what it was. You put him in that position, and no one's ever heard of him first and foremost beforehand, and it just didn't work. I mean, I'm glad he's doing backstage announcing, but that was putting him at the forefront was a huge mistake. And they realised that after a short amount of time, because I saw a lot of YouTube comments, literally, really berating the guy. So,
I mean, the fan base hasn't been too kind, to some of the people. I mean, I think a lot's worked well. And the thing is, I want people to know this, that I actually do like AEW. And obviously, we are now going to go into the section of like what hasn't worked as well. And obviously, this is a hard one to say. And I must admit that everything is subjective, and I think people need to understand and appreciate that people are into different parts of wrestling. And because we're giving some criticism doesn't necessarily mean we dislike it. So I'm going to go to you first, Josh. What hasn't worked in AEW? What do you feel is their kind of weak parts, if there are any?
Other than the fact that it's quite a small roster, but they're a new company, it's expected to have a small roster, I can't see too much that is wrong with it. They have kind of not ruined Cody Rhodes, but hurt his image a little bit by having him lose so much.
Do you think so? I mean, he had a strong name coming into it. He?
I understand. Obviously, him being the vice president, he can't win every match, but he also can't lose every other match. It'd be nice if he had more of. It'd be nice if he looked better rather than going for every single title nearly and then losing those opportunities every time.
See, I'm going to switch this because I think that Cody's insistence or his push of kind of getting himself in these matches is a bad thing, in my opinion. I feel very strongly, especially about the TNT Championship. I felt that was Darby Allin's to win. I thought this is the time, like unleash, and I thought that was the time to do it. But Cody kind of putting himself in that title situation, I felt was incorrect. I felt that the first time too, and perhaps it will lead to something down the line with this. But I think there are moments where Cody kind of does have a bit of an ego stroke, with it. I mean, one thing, I know people do kind of agree with this. I think their weakest part is the women's division. And I'm talking by a fucking country mile, in my opinion. I think, the WWE, as much as some of the women don't get used as well, there is still a consistency with regards to their women's title matches on the most part. They're given time on pay-per-view. We know who all the women are who get title shots, and we're kind of invested more. I think unfortunately, AEW had the Nightmare Collective, which fucking flopped. There's no nice way to say it. You can't have a story on the people just cutting people's hair off. That's not character development, in my opinion. And the women's division, despite me, we're going to get into it a bit later on, but a couple of my favourite matches being from that division, they've been so few and far between. And I feel that there's not enough women there to get invested in. I think there's Nyla Rose is at the top, people like Rio, and then you've got Britt Baker, who is just Adam Cole's girlfriend. Like, there's no one else there that's a must see. But if I was talking WWE, we're talking Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Bayley, Sasha Banks, or even onto NXT or people that have gone into NXT like Bianca Belair, etc. We've got at least a handful, Asuka, at least a handful of women. What are your thoughts, especially you, Champagne Charge? I know you're quite a fan of women's wrestling. Like, what are your thoughts? AEW's women's division.
I actually like the women's division. I mean, some of the stars they found there. Obviously, Britt Baker's doing this whole new heel gimmick, the role model thing, which is getting over. Rio, Hikaru Shida, great, additions from Japan there. Chris Statlander, Penelope Ford, incredible athlete. And I actually like where they're going with the women's division. I mean, there's a few they could push a little bit more. I mean, there's other women there, who I feel are just there as placeholders, and not getting enough recognition. I love the fact that Nyla Rose is the current champion, and I've got to say this is coming from the heart here. I hated all the backlash she got because of obviously, and it's no secret of what Nyla Rose is. She's the first transgender wrestler, and people just need to get a life, really. About that. You can't just go around, doing, saying such, cretinous stuff about people because of their life choices. But I love the women's division, and I'm sure it's going to just grow and expand, even more. There's a few people I'm disappointed that are not on the roster because they've made appearances, like in the Casino Battle Royal last year, back at All Out that they had, who I would love to see on their roster. But
But that's another weakness in the sense that because it is, to me, I see it as kind of like the top indie, let's say.
Yeah.
It is kind of challenging thing. You do get this happening where you will get people showing up for one night only because of there's no contract. And so you've had a lot of that, especially in the first year. It's something they're kind of waning off a bit now. They don't do as much, but there are some people who are there, but like, oh shit, where'd they go?
Ivelisse Velez being one of them. I mean, that was what I would love to have seen stick around, because that woman is tough. I've seen her work in the Indies. I've seen her work in the now defunct Lucha Underground. She is tough, really tough. Another one was Tennille Dashwood, who they let slip through their fingers as well.
Yeah, how that happened, because she even did commentary, didn't she, on the original All In?
Oh, the original All In. Yeah, the original All In. Yes. Yeah, the match. Let's see who else. When I saw Jazz show up in that Battle Royal, I marked out because I'm a huge Jazz fan. You know what I mean? No pun intended there. But yeah. But Jazz is one of those women who's a pioneer. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even though she may be in the autumn stages of her career, the woman can still go. Pardon?
What a lovely way of putting that.
Yeah.
It was a bloke we're talking about. We say he's old. It's like we say Oldberg and old Teaster.
Yeah. But
we're talking about a woman, so fair enough. Yeah. In the autumn stages of her career.
Yeah, but she was a pioneer. I mean, I've never known, apart with there's a few exceptions, but Jazz is one of those one of the toughest women I've ever seen in a wrestling ring. So, like I said, that's the thing, the consistency of bringing in some people in for the shock factor, but not trying to keep a couple of those fan favorites around. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's something they're gonna have to get better at because I
Yeah.
mean, even something that pissed me off earlier in the year was when Chris Statlander meant to have her title shot,
Oh
and then
yeah.
they double booked her, and it's just like something which it just wouldn't happen in WWE because they got people
No,
contracted,
absolutely not.
and it just looks very amateurish, like and kind of does end up ruining momentum because now obviously Chris Statlander was out of that story,
Yeah.
and had spent months kind of getting back to it.
Yeah.
Um,
But one thing I disliked as well. I'm going to join you in this one. The whole beating down of the Nightmare Collective. It made no sense whatsoever. It was just. I mean, I understand Brandy Rhodes wanting to try and to stand out on a road. I get that, but it just didn't get received well. I mean,
no,
you get Awesome Kong there to try and give it some credibility. I get that. Then you get, what's her name, Mel, who basically that character she did is like a rip-off version of Serena. Do you remember the whole, when CM Punk was doing that,
yeah,
what's it
straight
called
edge,
now? Yeah,
straight,
Straight Edge Society, that was it. Yeah, it felt like a rip-off of that. And then you add Uncle Lester into the, into the die. It was the weirdest thing. You know what I mean? It looked like someone had gone off their tits on moonshine and thought, let's do a modern day version of the Oddities. So yeah,
No, do you know what?
I'm gonna go and say,
Do you know what they
look,
reminded me of actually?
what's
A
that?
mixture between the Beautiful People and the Straight Edge Society.
Yes, I agree with you on that
Such
one.
a weird combination, but it was.
Yeah.
but this is the thing. I think they were trying to make their division different, but different isn't always good. Like, the thing is, WWE have done it several times with the bigger women, to put it politely. Like, Nia Jax has had runs where she looked unstoppable, and that's the way to build them up. Sadly, I don't think having someone like Awesome Kong, cut hair is a way to get someone over. Moving on from the women, though, my other main criticism of it has been I think they need to drop the WWE digs. I think I've never liked this in wrestling. And I'll go out and say it. I never liked Billionaire Ted back in the days of the mid-90s, for some of our old listeners. I never liked the VKM angle that TNA did. I especially never liked Oklahoma, another one for older fans.
So are you talking about when shots are fired? Are you talking about when shots are fired? Then is that what?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of digs. To a degree, you had Cody, smashing the throne with the sledgehammer. You've had constant digs with the Brody Lee angle, with obviously him talking about you're not the only old man who's not believed in me, or whatever. And it's kind of just always mentioned, and not directly, but I feel that it's hurting them a little bit, particularly because they have, for the most part, their main event picture has been all ex-WWE guys. So to kind of insult them and take the piss, but then go, right, the main event's now going to be John Moxley, a.k.a. Dean Ambrose, against Brody Lee, a.k.a. Luke Harper, it's a bit kind of hypocritical, is how I feel.
I know exactly what you mean, but here's the thing: every company in there has always taken that route, no matter how petty it was. I mean, in WCW, you had them like I said, you had the whole Oklahoma thing, and then and they went as far as to, even like give away their results as well. But here's the thing: these things can also sometimes backfire. I mean, look at the night when Mick Foley won the world title. Yeah, WCW tried shooting that down, but it backfired on them big time. And then TNA were famous for taking digs at it as well. I mean, the most famous one I remember was. Does anyone here remember the Cookiegate scandal?
Cookiegate? No.
What happened was, here's what you can look this up on YouTube, right? TNA used to take place at Orlando, Florida. The Universal Studios.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure, yeah.
WWE showed up there one day because they were filming some sort of segment or something like that. I forget what it was now. It was some skit they were doing. So a group of the TNA guys, Shane Douglas, who was a backstage announcer at the time, Shane Douglas, Ron the Truth Killings, BG James, Road Dogg, as everyone knows him, Abyss, and Tracy Brooks, who came out with a tray of cookies, hence Cookiegate, right?
Okay.
They went over into their part of the lot and were trying to call out some of the superstars. And apparently a couple of superstars did come out, but they blurred their faces, for copyright reasons, that kind of thing. So, and, you have BG Road Dogg saying, is Vince here? I made him a bunch of money. I don't know if he remembers that. Just pathetic shots, that kind of thing. Obviously, no one major came out. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And obviously Vince wasn't going to come out there. You know what I mean? So, Vince never... That's one thing about Vince McMahon. He never publicly acknowledges, you know what I mean?
Then that's what a lot of these big corporations do. I mean, to bring it back to AEW though, in terms of some of their digs, I think their digs are I think they are very deliberate.
Of course,
in my opinion. And I think it's something they need to watch out for, because in all these examples that we talked about, obviously WCW Oklahoma, we talked about a lot of them. Who wins? WWE every single time. And I feel in order for them to kind of become their own thing, they need to stop that. It's very, in my opinion, it's petty. And obviously the shade will happen to the other side, that's fine. But the thing is, at first the shade maybe did happen the other way. And obviously the first kind of dig, I guess, was moving NXT to compete with Dynamite. And I'm going to say this right here. Wrestling fans, sort yourselves out. You can like AEW and NXT. You can watch one live and watch the other on the network, or the other one recorded. You don't need to have this competition between the two. There's not a competition. They're both wrestling shows. Just enjoy them for what they are. There's wrestling now on almost every day of the week, when you combine Impact, New Japan, and God knows what else, and the British promotion. And then
there's the YouTube shows like NWA, MLW. I mean, wrestling's on pretty much like 5 or 6 times a week now.
Indeed, enjoy the fucking product. That's all I have to say.
Exactly.
And I think that's something which, it's not AEW's fault, but the fans, I think, have kind of rolled that up a bit online, and just get over it. You can watch both and enjoy both. I like AEW. I watch bits of NXT, and I live my life. I don't need to constantly slag one the other or say which one's better. It's not a competition.
Yeah. With all due respect to wrestling fans, 80% of them, roughly, are the most toxic fans of any sport ever.
Oh yeah, sadly. Absolutely. I mean, I saw this thing the other day. Well, actually, it was yesterday afternoon. Now, Miro, formerly known as Rusev, right? Yeah. Right. He put a one word right on his Twitter, and that is Shad. You know what I mean? Rest in peace, Shad Gaspard. First of all, right? But a fan put at the bottom underneath, instead of saying rest in peace or God bless you, Shad, or something like that, all they all cared about was this: are you going to AEW? You know what I mean? It's like a total disregard. You know what I mean?
It's true.
For a man trying to.
Someone needs to slap that fan and most of the other ones.
Yeah.
Indeed. I mean, bring it to AEW again. Like, my last kind of point, obviously, what I feel hasn't worked as well. It leads on from the last one, really, about the WWE stars and that. I feel there's a lack of singles, and this actually flip-flops because the tag division is very strong. But I feel that the singles, the AEW World Title picture, isn't as strong. There's not the kind of go-to handful of guys that exists, and I can only put this down to the fact that apart from MJF, I feel they haven't really done a good job with building many people up, like individuals. Like, there's lots of tag teams, don't get me wrong, lots of tag team wrestlers, don't get me wrong, but singles, I think that's where we're kind of lacking. And like, when we're talking about like who are the stars, obviously of AEW, we mentioned Jericho. He kind of, everything he touches turns to gold, but he is going to be 50 years old this year. He's not going to be wrestled forever. And so while he's good to have now and good to the first champion, we need to look at the future. And I think, obviously, 2 people that I've singled out for the stars, Jon Moxley, who's the current champion, and Darby Allin. I think Darby Allin, there's something unique about him that we haven't seen in any other performer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
For a long time now. And I know he's not keen on being in the business for a long time, apparently. He wants to do it for a few years and then move on. So I think they need to capitalise and get him interested, get him over, get him earning money, more importantly. And then perhaps that opinion might change in a few years. Only 27 years old, I believe. So there's still potential for him to get better. Sammy Guevara is another one too. I think there's some, he's still got a lot to learn. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's definitely someone who's interesting to watch. So let's go to you, Champagne Charlotte. Who do you think are the stars of AEW?
Well, MJF is obviously they're gonna be their top heel at one point. I mean, they're grooming him to be the ultimate because he is a jackass, like basically, but he's so good at it, and it's impossible not to like him. But that means he's doing his job brilliantly.
Absolutely.
So that he's obviously going to be at one point the top heel. Sammy Guevara, I think, could achieve great things. I love the fact that they're making him this apprentice to Jericho. I think it's like kind of like a Randy Orton-esque kind of thing. How Randy Orton was in Evolution, but then became, they tried to groom him to be the next top star. I think they could do something with that somewhere down the line. That's one thing.
There's a lot of potential.
Yeah, Darby Allin, obviously. I love the unique style, the mystery of the guy, the intensity, the look, the face paint. It's great. Jungle Boy is one who could do stuff as well. I mean, obviously they're doing this tag thing with him and Luchasaurus and Marco. But Jungle Boy, great athlete. I'd love to see some more singles matches of him. And I'm a huge mark for Luchasaurus as well. I love the gimmick. I would love to see some more stuff from him as a solo act as well at some point.
He's very fun. I think something to him and the stable too. Josh, who do you think? Who are the stars in of AEW? Any ones that we haven't mentioned so far?
The stars of AEW. Obviously, Chris Jericho, as you mentioned before, there's no point going into detail about him. Sammy Guevara, more than likely. I'm going to go again. I'm going to mention another tag team that I quite enjoy. Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. Obviously, they're not on TV every single week, but when they are, they give out a 5-star match. To be fair, most of AEW's matches seem to be 5-star pay-per-view style matches, which may bore people eventually. But that being said, I would like to think that Kenny Omega and Adam Page are two of the stars of AEW.
Yeah, I think Adam Page, he's shown a very charismatic side to himself, and I mean, that's what was needed. I think in that match, especially, we're going to move on to our favourite matches now. Like, the match they had with SCU in particular, I felt that Adam Page got the whole cowboy shit over, which I think another strong point for AEW too, not being PG, is that they can do stuff like that, and it just seems more cool.
It's brilliant.
Cool than at times. But favourite matches, I've got a few. I really enjoyed Darby Allin, and him and John Moxley had a match on Dynamite. I think it was back in October, just phenomenal. And Chris Jericho against Jungle Boy and against Scorpio Sky. I liked that kind of angle. I get why they're doing that to Jericho. He's the right person to do it with. And the women's match that I'm going to mention, I liked Nyla Rose versus Rio. I thought that was very well done. And probably the best women's match AEW have had. Despite me not feeling that it wasn't as strong as some of the stuff WWE have produced, it's a close. I think they've got to that. Any kind of standouts from you then, Champagne Charlie, match-wise?
Well, at risk of sounding obvious, I was a huge fan of last year's Double or Nothing Cody versus Dustin Rhodes. The reason being is I've always been a Dustin Rhodes fan. His years. I've seen his early matches in WCW, and then there's Goldust as well. The great.
He's autumn of his career as well.
But I know, but last year when he came out and did that match, it was the best thing I've seen him do ever. He was really reinvented himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was doing things that no one had ever seen him do before as well. So that's up there. The match between Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks back at Revolution, that stands out as well when it comes to tag team wrestling.
Match, wasn't it? Thinking it.
Yeah, six-star match. Yes, so that's up there that's up there. I'm just trying to think, and I didn't think I'd like this one at first when I heard it was happening, but also last year's Double or Nothing, I quite liked the Casino Battle Royal, because you were seeing new people for the first time, but you were also seeing some old favourites thrown in as well, which you didn't expect. I mean, Tommy Dreamer being in that match was a lot of fun to see. Billy Gunn being thrown in there, it's
amazing shape at 50. I think he's 52. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, amazing shape.
Oh yeah,
Seeing him back.
Oh yeah. I mean, I mean, one of my friends, I was showing them wrestling for the first time. I showed them that match. My friend, she's in her 50s, and as soon as she saw Billy Gunn, she was like, "Hello." So,
I can imagine. To you then, Josh. Any matches that stand out?
For me, I'd probably have to say that Jon Moxley versus Darby Allin was a very big one for me. That was a match I really enjoyed. Not only match, but also another Jon Moxley one when he went up against Kenny Omega in an unsanctioned match back at something Full Gear, was it?
Oh God, yeah, that was intense.
That was insane.
For
me, that was a bit too much. I felt.
Maybe.
Did they get fined for it recently? They got a fine or something for I thought, was it $10,000 or $20,000?
Yeah, they got a $10,000 fine. I can't remember the details of it though.
Yeah, I mean, right. Let's switch gears before we go on to midnight. I mean, AEW, fantastic topic, of course. We're going to discuss its future, but as you may or may not be aware, it is Pipe Bomb promo challenge time. So over to Josh Porter to quickly explain the rules, and let's have this week's Pipe Bomb promo.
Right, so, Charlie, you have 1 minute, when I say go, to perform a promo using the two topics that I have given you. One of those topics will be a wrestler and maybe a title, and the other one will be a pay-per-view or show of some form. You will be scored out of 10, 5 points by me and 5 points by Lucas. Do you understand the rules?
Yeah, I think I've got that.
Good. Right, so, without further ado, your topics are... Let me think, because I didn't come up with it on the spot. Right. You are competing on WCW Monday Nitro.
Okay.
And you are going up against Sting in the main event for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. You have 1 minute, starting when it hits the 50-second mark. Now.
Hello there, WCW fans. Your boy Champagne Charlie here, and I am so pumped up. I am ready, and also a little bit drunk as well. Ready for this match against Sting. Sting. It doesn't matter what kind of tricks you pull out the bag, whether you're jumping down from the rafters, whether you've got that big black hawk on your shoulder. You cannot scare me, my brother. So paint your face up like the little boy that you are. Bring your black leather trench coat. Bring your baseball bat. Bring all the smoke and mirrors you want. Because let me tell you something. I am Champagne Charlie. I am 6'2". I am 220 pounds. And I am a bad son of a bitch. So bring your ass down to the ring and bring that title. Because, boy, I am taking it from you. And Sting, you know how you say that it's showtime, folks? Well, I am the damn show. It's showtime, my brother.
Ooh, very well done.
I believe you went a bit over time, so we are I can't give
about
the full
10 seconds.
I enjoyed that. I thought you got a lot in. Promos are obviously your strong point. Unfortunately, like I said, I can't give it the full marks. It's going to have to be a 4 from me because obviously it has to beat the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree with the time issue. Obviously, you went about 10 seconds over.
Damn.
which isn't terrible. It's not great because it wasn't on time.
Yeah.
Normally, I think people prefer it if you go a little bit under time, as
Yeah, of
opposed to a little
course.
bit over. But I think the content was all there.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with a 4.
4, okay.
Lucas, what was yours?
4 also.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
that's-
So
that's-
do you know what that
I'm happy
means?
with that. I'm happy with that.
Do you know what that means?
What does it mean?
You were joint first place with Vinnie Daniels on our leaderboard.
Oh.
So I'm
Okay.
thinking, Lucas, at some point we may have to have a tiebreaker.
Maybe, or someone's going to come on and give a 5 out of 5 prank from both of us.
Maybe.
That's the challenge. Our next guests. Our next guests. Well, look, final little bits then. So, final thoughts on AEW. What's in its future? I think we're going to see quite a lot coming up. Obviously, a second TV show later on in the year has been confirmed. I believe, though, their key is they need to tour internationally. And I know it's biased because we're recording here in the United Kingdom, but they need to come to the UK. They're on ITV. They've got ITV Sports. They've got an ITV deal. They need to come to the UK. They've got such a big audience. And I think with WWE, refusing to give us a pay-per-view for whatever reason, they could corner the market. I mean, NXT UK has obviously not been popular, as popular as they expected it to be. The AEW, touring internationally, and that's the way forward. Potentially a video game also. But, I mean, my final thoughts on AEW, we'll go around as well about this very quickly. So 15 seconds, final thoughts. My final thoughts are fantastic start. They are obviously getting better, but I feel that they need to just drop some of the stuff that makes them a little bit unprofessional, such as the calling out of constant WWE kind of digs, as well as I feel they need some more single stars. So I'm going to go first to Josh Porter, 15 seconds. Final thoughts on AEW.
Final thoughts. I'd say they've had a pretty good year so far.
Yeah.
Great start. Obviously, had Stephen and Mel in one of their pay-per-views. The Green Arrow, one of my all-time favourite actors. Not only that, I think they're dying out a little bit with having the 5-star matches every single week. They don't need to do that.
Fair enough. On to you, Sham Michele. Final thoughts. Got 15 seconds.
Yeah, tone it down a little bit on Dynamite with the 5-star matches. Keep making new stars, tour everywhere as possible, and maybe even, I don't know, do a bit of a collaboration with some of the other indie companies, maybe the NWA or Japan, just something. We just need to spice it up a bit more.
Fair enough. Well, look, we discussed a lot about AEW. I think it's been enjoyable. But remember, I gave you the riddle at the start. So the riddle was, I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with wind. What am I? I know we're speaking throughout the entire podcast. Any final thoughts about that before I reveal to you and to the listeners?
You are an echo.
Indeed.
Aha!
Echo. Well done. Leave us a comment if you got that riddle. This will continue, perhaps, if we can be bothered, over the next few weeks with our more guests. Thank you very much, Sham Michele, for joining us.
Thank you for having me, yes.
AEW. And we shall see you very, very soon. We've got more episodes coming up. New episodes every week at the moment while we're in some sort of lockdown scenario. We'll be talking big about the WWE Diva era, speaking about NWO versus DX. We're speaking next week, though. We are going to be joined by Jack Walker, and we'll be discussing some of our most overrated and underrated wrestlers in history. As always, I have been the life coach, Lucas Jackson. I've been joined by Jazzy Josh Porter. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we shall see you on the other side. Goodbye for now.
Bye.
This has been a Talking Crap podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below your thoughts on recent episodes, and while you're here, why not check out the Science Behind Stupid YouTube channel. And don't forget to hit that bell to keep up to date with all our recent episodes.